What we believe is love isn't true love. And what I mean by that is our thought of love and what it looks like is often wrong. There's very few, and not even me, who know what true love is. So what do we think a love is currently? And I still struggle with this, and I know you probably do too. If I were to ask you what is love, what does it look like? You're gonna think of what you see in movies, in Disney movies, in the rom-coms. You're gonna think of your favorite musician, their love songs. See, I love R&B music and soul music, but that music is filled with attachment, not true love. It's filled with codependency. And I realized after, forget who I was watching, but he made a comment, and the comment was, look at the music you listen to. What's the energy behind it? Is it attachment or is it love? An attachment, what that looks like, it's very dependent, it's needy, it's controlling, it's very... Now, when I say dependent meaning we feel like you hear this a lot in the music, I can't live without this person, or I don't feel whole without this person, or a piece of me is gone since this person has left. That is dependent, right? That means we're dependent on someone else for our own energy, for our own sake, for our own worth. That's what dependent is. That's what attachment is. And I think what we think of love currently is these ups and downs, this adrenaline, this excitement. But that isn't love. That's trauma. And where do we learn this from? Again, it's from movies. It's from music. It's from what we saw from our parents and how they interacted with each other, or just one parent specifically, how they showed their love or didn't show their love. And what I'm realizing is true love is completely different. It's a completely different vibe. Think about a friend that you love. So now, in this video, I'm talking more about romantic love, but think about a friend you love. You probably don't react the same way to them you do to a romantic partner or someone you're just getting to know, someone you're just texting, right? If your friend that you love and care about a lot, let's say it's your best friend, doesn't respond, or you don't hear from them in a while, you don't hear from them in a while, you're not going crazy, right? But when you're texting someone new, or you're texting someone that you have romantic love with, if they don't respond within an hour or two, you're freaking out, right? Or if they don't respond at all for the rest of that day, you can't fall asleep. And anything that's happening in your relationship with that person dictates how you feel. I had this happen literally yesterday. So I was talking to someone that I met online, and I didn't hear from them from like mid-afternoon, late afternoon, up until that night, up until I was about to fall asleep. And I was just churning in my head, what did I do wrong? Everything was going right. I hate online dating, right? All these things are happening. And I didn't want to pursue my goals. My best self felt a lot of pain and felt defeated and felt contracted. I didn't want to go to the gym today. I didn't want to make videos. I didn't want to edit. And I didn't feel better until this person contacted me back. And that's when I realized, okay, what this one person said in the video I watched is definitely true. I think it's okay to be excited when you're meeting someone new, but realize over the top excitement means there's some sort of attachment to an outcome, some sort of attachment to a need we think we're going to get fulfilled by the other person. When someone is really whole and content, they don't get, the ups and downs don't really happen. But I know what you're thinking, because this is what I was thinking too. Well, then is it okay to be excited by someone? And I think the answer is yes, but can you also be grounded in your excitement? Can you be okay if things don't go the way you want? Can you be okay if they don't ever respond? And that's what I think true love is. It's free. It's allowing the other person to be themselves. It's allowing you to be yourself, not being strung along by the behaviors of another person. That's what I think true love is. And true love also means letting someone go if you're changing and they're changing as well. So you may be, now that you understand, have awareness what attachment is, or what we thought love was, and now we kind of understand what true love is, how do we get to that space within ourselves? And I think we get to that space within ourselves by, one, we have to provide that to ourselves. So how do we be more loving towards ourselves? Compassion is an act of love. You can't have love without compassion and self-acceptance, right? When you love your best friend, you love them for who they are. Yes, they may frustrate you, but you're accepting of them and you're compassionate towards them. We have to be the same way towards ourselves. If you have a pet, I bring the pet example up a lot because I feel like it relates to people more because it's not a human for whatever reason. When we see probably because we have been hurt by humans before, but a pet rarely doesn't hurt us that often. So if we have a dog, let's say, and we really love that dog, and there may be things about that dog that frustrate us. They may take our socks, they may crap on the floor, but we're so loving and endearing of that dog. And if that dog was hurting or in pain, we would soothe that dog's pain by being there for it, by comforting it with our tone and with our energy and with our presence and our behaviors. We need to be that same way with ourselves. And once we have that love for ourselves and we are internally grounded and feel love, we don't feel as needy and clingy. So then we're not going through this roller coaster of emotions when we're dating or within our relationship. But then you may be thinking, is it okay to be sad if things don't go well? Yes, of course, and you should never judge your pain. But the Buddha said attachment is the cause of suffering. So there is some sort of like deeper rooted attachment there, but also attachment is healthy. We do have to attach to others for their well-being and our well-being. It's normal to attach. This is called attachment theory. There's a whole bunch of great studies and books literally on attachment theory. If you don't know what that is, look it up. But attachment theory starts in childhood when you're a baby. So there's 4 different types. Well, 3, but some people say there's 4. There's secure, there is anxious, there's avoidant, and then there's anxious avoidant. Depending on how your parents treated you or how you interpreted their actions is going to determine how you attach to others. If your parents were very comforting and validated your experience, you're going to be more secure. You're going to feel safe with people coming and going. So if let's say your mom comforted you while you were crying and you felt good internally, if she were to leave, now you know how to make yourself feel good. So that's secure attachment. Anxious is when this is the attachment style that I have. I may even have the most rare, which is anxious avoidant. But anyway, anxious is when, like the word would presume, you feel anxious in intimate relationships or anxious when getting to know someone or within that relationship. So someone who struggles with anxious attachment, they feel like their validation from the other, their love is inconsistent. It comes and goes. So they're always on edge, thinking whether they're going to get that love and warmth or not. Avoidant is someone who may have been hurt so bad that they just stay away from love altogether. Anxious avoidant is someone who's very hot and cold. So someone who's like really like someone and they completely pull away. You can't read them. Their behaviors are very erratic, and that's the anxious avoidant. So understanding attachment theory, we become aware of where we are within the spectrum. And you cannot, this is the most important part, you can't judge yourself for which attachment style you have or compare yourself to someone who has a secure attachment style. Judgment is the root cause of needing something outside of yourself to feel whole, to release that judgment. So then how do we become really accepting and compassionate? We have to accept what is, our experience in the now, with complete open arms. We have to be okay with our attachment style. We have to almost own, yep, I'm the anxious attachment style, without judgment, and just hold space for it and let that energy kind of spread and expand. Love is an expansive energy. When you love something or someone, you're very giving, you're very sharing. If you look at some of the enlightened spiritual teachers, whether that's Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, they felt love for any and everything. And because they had that warmth, they were very just giving and content, and people felt healed around them. Rumor has it that Jesus would heal people with just touching them. So that accepting energy allows us to be whole, so we're not dependent on outside sources. But again, attachment is normal, and we need that in a relationship to feel safe. If I'm dating someone, if I'm living with someone, and I didn't feel securely attached to them, I didn't trust them, I felt like maybe they would cheat, and it wasn't an insecurity of mine, it wasn't some fear-based perspective that they could leave me, then there would be no point in me investing any more emotion into it. But we need to attach so the other can take care of us, right? A relationship is two whole people coming together to create something. And we also need attachment for if we have kids with that person, can we trust them to be there to help support the family? So really feel what the energy of love is. It's expansive, it's at ease, it's calm, it's warm. And this is gonna sound crazy, but I remember one of the biggest epiphanies I had when I took shrooms, and I've only taken it once, so this is the only experience I had with it. Initially, the experience was awful. That's a subject for another video, awful. But the last hour of it, I felt so warm and content that I felt other people's pain. I felt their lack of acceptance within themselves, and that hurt me, but I was feeling so good and warm, and I saw how much I overthink, and I just felt so gentle and compassionate towards myself. I was like, man, it's okay. Everything's okay. Whether this thing I want happens or not, it's okay. Whether this person that I am talking to and enjoying getting to know blossoms into a relationship or not, it's okay. I'm going to be okay. I know how to handle it. I don't need this other person to make me feel warm. I already feel warm. So they can come and go. And this is going to make your behaviors in your relationship much more attuned and higher conscious. So if we're very scared, let's say how I am an anxious attachment style, I overthink everything I say or do when I'm texting or when I'm around that person. But if we're feeling really content and accepting and without guilt or shame or lack, we are going to have higher value communication within our relationship. We're going to feel more secure, and that energy is going to come off. We're going to come off more confident, and that's going to be more attractive. We're going to be able to read the situation better, not through a fear-based perspective. We're going to be able to read the situation for its totality. We're going to be able to feel into it better. Because when you have a fear-based perspective, oh, that person's cheating, oh, that person's is losing interest because they're not texting back or they're not giving me attention, right? Whereas if we're able to be whole and accepting of ourselves without any internal splits, and we're even able to accept when we are feeling anxious within that relationship. So if you struggle if you have the anxious attachment style, you're the one who's going to have to give yourself a lot of warmth when you're around that person you're starting to get to know and like. Otherwise, that anxious attachment style is going to destroy your relationship. You're going to be very needy and clingy. Or if they start to pull away, you're going to pull away, and it's going to ruin the relationship. So when you become whole, you're going to have healthier relationships. It changes the way you behave in the relationship. Your consciousness changes what you think, feel, and act. So really, just you have to have a consciousness that's very accepting and content, and being accepting and content of when you're not content, when you are feeling anxious or angry or jealous or sad. If you're able to do that and you're able to be your loving blanket, you're able to be your own love, you won't need it from others, and then you're going to be able to give it and you'll attract it. So understand what I even think of love. I have to stop listening to R&B music. Maybe not. Maybe that's going a little too far. I really do love the vibe and the emotion of it. The sound of R&B music I really like, probably more than the lyrics. But look at the influences. Look at the movies, look at the music. And we don't have to stop watching those things, but we can see the truth of them, right? We can enjoy a chick flick with the person we're dating and not judge it. But understand the director of that movie probably is codependent. Your favorite artist is probably has a little bit of pain and codependency within them. Sia, the artist who sang and wrote and did the video for Chandelier, she stepped away from music for a while because when she started healing her own trauma, she realized that influenced so much of her music, and she didn't know what to make music about anymore. That's why she's been MIA for a while. I saw her in a video with Gabor Mate, who is a trauma expert, and she talked about like so much of her success in her music was fueled by trauma. So we have to look at our influences and understand they are filled with inappropriate messaging. And then we have to go within ourselves and feel our lack, our pain, our anxiousness, and comfort it and be completely accepting of it, give it space so it can just evaporate and dissipate from your being. Again, you don't want to try and push it away. You just want to be completely accepting of everything that is you in the moment. And then once we do that, we will understand what true love is. And this is going to take time. You have to constantly, if you're going to look for a practical step, you have to ask yourself all the time throughout your day, how am I feeling? And regardless of the answer, come up with an answer objectively. I'm feeling anxious, and just tell yourself it's okay. But also, here's the caveat with this, and this is the mistake I make. Don't try and do this and heal yourself and becoming self-loving to get another person. That's not going to work. Anytime you're doing something to get, that's going to come off in your vibe. That's the biggest problem with self-improvement. Too much of it is I need to improve myself to get something. And if I'm not improving myself, I'm not good enough. If I'm not doing this thing I learned in a book, I'm going to fail. If I'm not doing this thing in the book, I can't get what I want. And you're not going to be congruent to the context of the situation, and context is always king. A self-improvement book, a self-help book can tell you how to deal with a particular situation, but if you're coming from a fear-based controlling consciousness, that advice is not going to apply to every situation. And if you try to apply it to a situation that doesn't require it or it's not appropriate, you're going to fail. And you're going to not trust yourself. So we have to release a lot of control and attune to a situation and attune to how we're feeling so we can attune to how the situation is making us feel. So then we can have congruent, authentic action. So the practical step is to become aware of how you're feeling and saying it's okay. But again, not to do this and becoming accepting to get something, because that will never work, or to keep someone attracted to you. Once you are okay with not being okay, and okay with being okay, and okay with when the relationship is okay, and okay when the relationship is not, you will be more attractive. It's a paradox. And I think the more okay we get with paradoxes, the more okay we become with life. And also, lastly, it's okay to have feelings for someone or to be upset. But how long we let that pain and that anxiety hurt us is up to us. It's a choice. You don't have to alleviate your pain. And it's very hard to do it. It's going to take time. But you don't have to do it. It has to be a choice. You have to want to feel good just to feel good. You can't want to feel good so you can get something in return. So just become the space that you need. Be the comfort and the peace you need. And be okay with whatever you're feeling in the moment without judgment. And you'll attract true love. Until next time.